10 powerful herbs can dramatically improve circulation and intimacy after 60, yet most men suffer in silence while their bodies quietly shut down. After 30 years helping thousands of older men reclaim their vitality, I'm Dr. Miller, and what I've discovered will challenge everything you think you know about aging and masculine health. The first devastating mistake I see men make after 60 is dismissing the subtle changes happening in their bodies as simply normal aging. When morning responsiveness begins to fade, when that familiar warmth and sensitivity starts to diminish, when intimate moments feel more distant than they once did, too many men shrug it off as inevitable. Many men come to me after years of ignoring these early warning signs. They've convinced themselves that decreased circulation, reduced sensitivity, and fading desire are just part of getting older. What they don't realize is that these aren't age-related inevitabilities. They're early symptoms of declining vascular health that can be addressed and reversed. The medical reality is that circulation changes often begin in the smallest blood vessels first, particularly those supplying the pelvic region. These microscopic vessels are among the most delicate in your body, and when they start to narrow or lose flexibility, the effects are felt immediately in areas that matter most for intimacy and masculine confidence. What feels like stress or fatigue is often your cardiovascular system sending its first distress signals. The physical consequences of ignoring these early changes are progressive and compounding. Vascular narrowing doesn't plateau, it accelerates. What starts as occasional difficulty becomes consistent struggle. Sensitivity that dims slowly can disappear entirely. The blood flow that supports not just physical response but emotional connection and confidence gradually restricts, creating a cascade of declining function. Perhaps more devastating than the physical changes are the emotional consequences. Men begin to withdraw from intimacy, not because desire has vanished, but because uncertainty and embarrassment have replaced confidence. Relationships suffer as partners misinterpret this withdrawal as rejection or disinterest. The man who once felt vital and connected starts to feel invisible and forgotten, even in his own marriage. The solution lies in supporting microcirculation with ginkgo biloba, one of nature's most powerful circulation enhancers. This ancient herb works by improving blood flow to the smallest vessels in your body, including those crucial pathways that support intimate function. At a therapeutic dose of 120 milligrams twice daily, standardized ginkgo extract helps restore oxygen delivery and nutrient flow to tissues that have been starving for proper circulation. But recognizing and addressing early warning signs is only the beginning, because once men finally acknowledge something needs attention, they often make the next critical mistake that can derail their progress entirely. Have you ever wondered why prescription medications for circulation and intimacy issues seem to work temporarily, then lose their effectiveness? The second critical mistake I witness is men becoming entirely dependent on pharmaceutical interventions without addressing the underlying vascular health that's causing their problems in the first place. I frequently see patients who arrive at my office carrying bags full of medications, each one targeting a different symptom of the same root problem. They've been prescribed pills for blood pressure, pills for circulation, pills for intimate function, and pills to counteract the side effects of the other pills. What started as a simple solution has become a complex web of chemical dependencies that often leave them feeling worse than when they started. The fundamental issue with relying solely on prescription solutions is that most of these medications work by forcing temporary physiological responses rather than healing the underlying vascular damage. They're like putting a bandage on a broken pipe instead of fixing the pipe itself. While a prescription pill might temporarily dilate blood vessels or force a physical response, it does nothing to restore the natural flexibility, health, and function of your cardiovascular system. The physical consequences of this approach become apparent over time. Many men report that medications become less effective, requiring higher doses or additional prescriptions to achieve the same results. Meanwhile, the underlying circulation problems continue to worsen because the root cause, compromised vascular health remains unaddressed. Side effects accumulate, from headaches and flushing to more serious cardiovascular complications that can actually make circulation problems worse. Emotionally, this dependency creates a cycle of anxiety and loss of confidence. Instead of feeling naturally capable and responsive, men become psychologically dependent on timing pills correctly, worrying about side effects, and feeling artificially supported rather than genuinely vital. The spontaneity and natural flow of intimate connection becomes replaced by pharmaceutical scheduling and mechanical responses. The natural alternative lies in supporting your body's own nitric oxide production with Panax ginseng. This powerful herb contains ginsenosides that work with your cardiovascular system to naturally enhance blood vessel dilation and improve circulation throughout your body. Unlike prescription medications that force temporary responses, ginseng at 400-600 milligrams daily helps restore your body's natural ability to produce the nitric oxide necessary for healthy blood flow and vascular function. Natural solutions like ginseng address root causes rather than masking symptoms. But even the most powerful herbs won't help if you make the next timing mistake that sabotages your progress before it even begins. One of the most heartbreaking patterns I observe in my practice is men who wait until their circulation and intimacy problems become severe before seeking help. This procrastination, convincing themselves that things might improve on their own or that they can tough it out, represents the third critical mistake that can make recovery significantly more challenging. Research from cardiovascular medicine shows us that vascular health follows a predictable decline pattern. What begins as minor circulation issues in your 60s can progress to significant arterial narrowing and endothelial dysfunction by your 70s if left untreated. The blood vessels that supply your pelvic region are among the smallest and most vulnerable in your body, making them particularly susceptible to this progressive deterioration. The medical reality is stark. Vascular damage compounds over time. When circulation problems first appear, the arterial walls are still relatively flexible and responsive to intervention. But as months and years pass without proper support, these vessels lose elasticity, develop plaque buildup, and become increasingly resistant to natural healing processes. What could have been addressed with gentle herbal support in the early stages may require more intensive intervention later. The physical consequences of delayed action are profound. Men who wait often find that their bodies have lost the ability to respond naturally to intimacy, even when circulation improves. Nerve sensitivity decreases, tissue health deteriorates, and the complex coordination between cardiovascular, neurological, and hormonal systems becomes disrupted. Recovery becomes a longer, more challenging process that requires patience and persistence rather than the relatively quick improvements possible with early intervention. Perhaps more devastating is the emotional toll of prolonged struggle. Years of declining function create deep patterns of avoidance, anxiety, and loss of masculine confidence that become psychological barriers even after physical improvements begin. Relationships suffer extended periods of distance and misunderstanding. The man who might have maintained his vitality with early action instead faces the harder task of rebuilding both physical function and emotional connection. The solution for men ready to take action lies in horny goatweed, an herb whose active compound icariin works by naturally inhibiting the PDE5 enzyme, the same target as prescription medications, but through gentle, sustained support rather than forced chemical intervention. At 250-500 milligrams daily of standardized extract containing at least 10% icariin, this herb helps restore natural blood flow and sensitivity while supporting overall vascular health. Early action with targeted herbal support prevents the cascade of decline that makes recovery more difficult. But even men who act promptly often make the next devastating mistake by focusing only on circulation while completely ignoring the hormonal foundation that fuels their entire system. Here's the mistake that surprises even experienced physicians. Men who diligently address circulation problems while completely ignoring the hormonal foundation that makes healthy blood flow possible in the first place. After 3 decades of practice, I've learned that testosterone isn't just about libido. It's the master regulator of vascular health in men. A common complaint I hear goes something like this. Doctor, I've tried everything for circulation, herbs, supplements, lifestyle changes, and I see some improvement, but nothing like what I expected. When I investigate further, these men often have testosterone levels hovering in the lower ranges of normal or below, creating a biological environment where even the best circulation support can't achieve optimal results. The scientific connection between testosterone and vascular health is profound and often overlooked. Testosterone directly stimulates nitric oxide production in blood vessel walls, the same nitric oxide that's essential for healthy circulation and intimate function. Low testosterone doesn't just reduce desire, it literally impairs your blood vessels' ability to dilate and deliver oxygen-rich blood where you need it most. Additionally, testosterone helps maintain the structural integrity of arterial walls and supports the production of red blood cells that carry oxygen throughout your system. The physical consequences of this hormonal neglect create a frustrating cycle of incomplete results. Men invest time and money in circulation-supporting herbs and supplements, only to experience modest improvements that plateau quickly. Their bodies simply lack the hormonal foundation necessary to fully utilize these interventions. Energy remains low, recovery is slow, and the robust response they're seeking remains elusive despite their best efforts. Emotionally, this pattern leads to discouragement and abandonment of otherwise effective treatments. Men conclude that natural approaches don't work for them, when in reality they've been addressing only half the equation. The confidence that should come with improved circulation never fully develops because the hormonal signals that create feelings of vitality, strength, and masculine energy remain suppressed. The solution lies in supporting natural testosterone production with Tribulus terrestris, an herb that works by stimulating luteinizing hormone release from the pituitary gland, which then signals the testes to increase testosterone production. At 500-750 milligrams daily of extracts standardized to 45% saponins, Tribulus helps restore the hormonal environment necessary for optimal circulation while supporting energy, mood, and overall masculine vitality. Hormones provide the fuel that makes circulation possible, but even with proper hormonal support and improved blood flow, many men find their progress blocked by the next hidden saboteur that's silently destroying their vascular health from within. What if I told you that there's an invisible fire burning inside your blood vessels right now, quietly destroying your circulation and sabotaging every effort you make to restore intimacy and vitality? The sixth mistake that derails men's progress is overlooking chronic inflammation, the silent destroyer that can render even the most powerful circulation and hormone support ineffective. Statistical evidence from cardiovascular research reveals a sobering truth. Men over 60 with elevated inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein show significantly worse responses to both pharmaceutical and natural circulation treatments. Yet inflammation testing and management remains one of the most overlooked aspects of men's intimate health despite being a primary driver of vascular dysfunction. Here's what happens at the cellular level when inflammation runs unchecked in your system. Inflammatory compounds called cytokines directly damage the delicate endothelial cells that line your blood vessels, causing them to become thick, rigid, and less responsive to the signals that should trigger dilation. These same inflammatory processes interfere with nitric oxide production, reduce the effectiveness of testosterone at the cellular level, and create oxidative stress that accelerates aging throughout your vascular system. The physical consequences create a frustrating cycle where men see initial improvements from herbs and supplements, only to plateau quickly as inflammatory damage continues. Blood vessels that should respond to ginkgo biloba or horny goatweed remain partially constricted because inflammation has reduced their flexibility and responsiveness. the circulation improvements that should develop over weeks or months stall out, leaving men wondering why their natural approach isn't delivering the results they expected. Emotionally, this inflammatory interference creates doubt about natural healing approaches altogether. Men begin to question whether herbal solutions work, when in reality their bodies are fighting a two-front war, trying to improve circulation while inflammation simultaneously tears down their progress. The confidence that should build with improved function never fully develops because chronic inflammation keeps them in a state of physical and mental fatigue. The breakthrough solution lies in addressing inflammation directly with turmeric, specifically the curcumin compounds that provide potent anti-inflammatory effects throughout the vascular system. At 500, 1,000 milligrams daily of curcumin extract with piperine for enhanced absorption, turmeric works to reduce the inflammatory markers that damage blood vessels while supporting the body's natural healing processes. This creates the optimal internal environment for circulation herbs and hormonal support to achieve their full potential. Clearing inflammation opens the pathways that allow your body to finally respond to the circulation and hormonal support you're providing. But even with inflammation under control, there's one crucial mechanism that most men never address: the pathway that actually signals your blood vessels to open in the first place. Think of nitric oxide as the master key that unlocks your blood vessels. Yet the seventh critical mistake I encounter is men who focus entirely on improving circulation without supporting their body's ability to produce this essential signaling molecule. Without adequate nitric oxide production, even the healthiest blood vessels remain locked in a state of constriction, unable to deliver the oxygen and nutrients your tissues desperately need. Many men experience what they describe as inconsistent results from circulation support. Some days feeling more responsive and energetic, other days feeling flat and disconnected. This unpredictable pattern often stems from declining nitric oxide synthase enzyme activity, the body's mechanism for producing the nitric oxide that signals blood vessels to relax and expand. As we age, these enzymes become less efficient, creating a bottleneck that limits how well our circulation can respond to other interventions. The biochemistry is straightforward but crucial to understand. Nitric oxide acts as a signaling molecule that tells smooth muscle cells in your arterial walls to relax, allowing blood vessels to dilate and increase blood flow. This process is essential not just for cardiovascular health, but specifically for the rapid blood flow changes required for intimate function. When nitric oxide production declines, blood vessels lose their ability to respond quickly and fully to the body's demands, regardless of how healthy the vessels themselves might be. The physical consequences manifest as a kind of vascular sluggishness. Blood vessels that should open readily instead respond slowly and incompletely. Men notice that physical responses feel delayed or weak, that energy doesn't surge the way it once did, and that the robust circulation they're working to restore feels just out of reach. Even when other aspects of vascular health improve, this fundamental signaling problem creates a ceiling on how much progress is possible. Emotionally, this creates a particularly frustrating experience because men can sense that their bodies want to respond, but something is holding them back. There's often a feeling that they're on the verge of a breakthrough that never quite materializes. This can lead to increasing doses of circulation herbs or switching between different supplements, when the real issue is the missing foundation of nitric oxide production. The solution lies in directly supporting nitric oxide synthesis with hawthorn berry, an herb that contains oligomeric proanthocyanidins and flavonoids that enhance the activity of nitric oxide synthase enzymes. At 300-600 milligrams daily of standardized extract, hawthorn berry helps restore your body's natural ability to produce the nitric oxide necessary for healthy vessel dilation, while also providing cardiovascular protection and support. Opening your blood vessels through improved nitric oxide production creates the foundation for optimal circulation, But even the most efficiently dilated vessels won't maintain their health and function without protection from the next critical threat that accelerates vascular aging. Imagine building a beautiful home only to leave it completely unprotected from the elements. That's exactly what happens when men work to improve circulation and hormone balance while ignoring the eighth critical mistake: failing to protect their blood vessels from the constant assault of free radical damage that accelerates vascular aging every single day. Across my decades of practice, I've observed a telling pattern. Men who achieve initial improvements in circulation and intimacy often see their progress slowly erode over months or years, not because their interventions stopped working, but because oxidative stress continued damaging their vascular system faster than their bodies could repair it. They're essentially running on a treadmill, working hard to move forward while invisible forces pull them backward. The cellular damage occurs at the most fundamental level of vascular health. Free radicals, unstable molecules produced by normal metabolism, stress, and environmental toxins, specifically target the endothelial cells that line your blood vessels. These attacks cause the arterial walls to become less flexible, reduce nitric oxide availability, and create inflammatory responses that compound circulation problems. It's like rust forming on the inside of your pipes, gradually restricting flow and reducing efficiency throughout your entire vascular network. The physical consequences create a slow but relentless decline in treatment effectiveness. Herbs and supplements that initially provided noticeable improvements begin to produce diminishing returns. Blood vessels that once responded well to circulation support become less responsive over time. The vitality and function that seem to be returning gradually fade, leaving men wondering if their natural approach is losing its power when the real culprit is unprotected oxidative damage. Emotionally, this gradual erosion of progress is particularly devastating because it happens so slowly that men often don't recognize the pattern. They may blame stress, aging, or question their commitment to natural health approaches, when in reality, they simply need to add a protective shield around the improvements they've worked so hard to achieve. The solution lies in comprehensive antioxidant protection with pine bark extract, one of nature's most powerful vascular protectants. Rich in oligomeric proanthocyanidins, OPCs, pine bark extract at 100-200 milligrams daily provides targeted protection for blood vessel walls while supporting the regeneration of other important antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E. This creates a protective environment where circulation improvements can be maintained and built upon rather than gradually eroded. Protection preserves the gains you've made in circulation and hormonal balance, but even the most well-protected vascular system can't function optimally if the cellular powerhouses within your blood vessel walls lack the energy they need to maintain healthy function. Your blood vessels are like a high-performance engine, but the ninth mistake that sabotages even the most comprehensive circulation protocols is overlooking the cellular powerhouses, the mitochondria, that must generate the energy required for optimal vascular function. Without adequate cellular energy production, your blood vessels simply can't maintain the dynamic responses necessary for healthy circulation and intimate function. Many men report feeling like their bodies are running on empty, despite following excellent nutrition and supplement protocols. They describe a sense that their circulation improvements feel sluggish or incomplete, as if their blood vessels want to respond, but lack the power to do so effectively. This fatigue at the cellular level often stems from declining mitochondrial function in the smooth muscle cells and endothelial cells that line blood vessels. The mitochondrial connection to vascular health runs deeper than most people realize. These cellular energy factories must produce ATP, the body's primary energy currency, to fuel the constant work of blood vessel dilation and constriction, nitric oxide production, and cellular repair and maintenance. As we age, mitochondrial efficiency declines significantly, reducing the energy available for these essential vascular functions. When blood vessel cells can't generate adequate energy, they become sluggish in their responses, slow to dilate, and unable to maintain the dynamic flow changes required for optimal circulation. The physical consequences manifest as a kind of vascular weakness, where improvements occur slowly and incompletely. Men notice that their responses to circulation herbs feel muted, that energy levels remain frustratingly low despite other health improvements, and that recovery from physical or emotional stress takes much longer than it should. The robust dynamic circulation they're working toward feels perpetually just out of reach because their cells lack the fundamental energy to power optimal function. Emotionally, this cellular fatigue creates a pervasive sense of being stuck or limited. Men may feel discouraged that their comprehensive natural approach isn't delivering the vitality they expected, leading to doubts about their body's ability to heal and respond. The enthusiasm for natural health interventions can wane when progress feels consistently half-hearted, even though the missing piece is simply cellular energy support. The solution lies in directly supporting mitochondrial function with Rhodiola rosea, an adaptogenic herb that enhances cellular energy production while supporting the body's ability to handle physical and emotional stress. At 200-400 milligrams daily of standardized extract containing 3% rosavins and 1% salidroside, Rhodiola helps optimize mitochondrial efficiency, increases ATP production, and provides the cellular energy foundation that allows circulation herbs and hormonal support to achieve their full potential. Energy fuels every aspect of your vascular system, from basic circulation to intimate responsiveness. But even the most energized blood vessels can be completely shut down by the next silent saboteur that many men don't even realize is working against them. Picture this scenario. You're following a comprehensive natural protocol for circulation and intimacy, seeing promising improvements, then suddenly everything seems to shut down during periods of stress or worry. The 10th mistake that derails countless men's progress is allowing chronic stress hormones, particularly cortisol, to completely counteract their circulation improvements and create an internal environment hostile to masculine vitality. Research from endocrinology journals reveals that men over 60 with chronically elevated cortisol levels show dramatically reduced responses to circulation therapies, whether pharmaceutical or natural. Yet stress hormone management remains one of the most overlooked aspects of men's health protocols, despite cortisol being one of the most potent circulation inhibitors in the human body. A common pattern I observe is men who experience excellent results during relaxed periods, only to see their progress vanish during times of work stress, family concerns, or health worries. Research from endocrinology journals reveals that men over 60 with chronically elevated cortisol levels show dramatically reduced responses to circulation therapies, whether pharmaceutical or natural. Yet stress hormone management remains one of the most overlooked aspects of men's health protocols, despite cortisol being one of the most potent circulation inhibitors in the human body. A common pattern I observe is men who experience excellent results during relaxed periods, only to see their progress vanish during times of work stress, family concerns, or health worries. The physical consequences create a frustrating pattern of inconsistent results that can drive men to abandon otherwise effective treatments. Circulation improvements that should be building steadily instead fluctuate wildly based on stress levels. Energy and responsiveness feel unpredictable, creating anxiety about intimate situations that further elevates cortisol in a vicious cycle. The herbs and supplements that worked well initially seem to lose their effectiveness during stressful periods, leaving men questioning their entire approach. Emotionally, this stress-circulation connection creates a particularly damaging cycle where concern about intimate function becomes a source of stress that actually worsens the problem. Men begin to anticipate failure, which elevates cortisol, which reduces circulation, which confirms their fears and creates even more stress. Performance anxiety becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that can override even the most comprehensive natural support protocol. The breakthrough solution lies in directly managing cortisol levels with ashwagandha, an adaptogenic herb that has been clinically shown to reduce cortisol by up to 30% while supporting healthy stress responses. At 300-600 milligrams daily of standardized extract containing at least 5% withanolides, ashwagandha helps normalize the stress response, protect circulation improvements from cortisol's damaging effects, and create the calm, confident internal state where masculine vitality can flourish. Managing stress hormones removes one of the most powerful barriers to circulation and intimacy improvements, revealing the final piece of the puzzle that transforms scattered efforts into a comprehensive system for lasting masculine vitality. The final and perhaps most costly mistake I witness is men who try individual herbs one at a time, hoping to find a single magic bullet, when the real transformation comes from understanding that circulation, hormones, inflammation, and cellular energy work as an integrated symphony that requires comprehensive orchestration to achieve lasting results. Over 3 decades of practice, I've watched countless men cycle through individual supplements, trying ginseng for a few weeks, then switching to ginkgo, then abandoning that for horny goatweed, never giving any single approach enough time to work synergistically with the others. They treat their bodies like a mechanical problem requiring one specific fix, when masculine vitality actually depends on multiple interconnected systems functioning in harmony. The scientific reality is that vascular health, hormonal balance, and cellular energy operate through overlapping biochemical pathways that amplify each other's effects when supported simultaneously. For example, ginseng's nitric oxide enhancement works more effectively when inflammation is controlled with turmeric, hormones are supported with tribulus, and cellular energy is optimized with rhodiola. Each herb addresses different aspects of the same underlying problem, compromised blood flow and diminished masculine vitality, but their combined effect is exponentially greater than the sum of their individual contributions. The physical consequences of this scattered approach are predictably disappointing. Men experience modest improvements that plateau quickly, partial restoration of function that feels frustratingly incomplete, and results that seem to fade as soon as they stop taking whatever single herb they're currently trying. Without addressing all the interconnected factors simultaneously, improvements remain limited and temporary, like trying to fill a bucket with multiple holes while only plugging one at a time. Emotionally, this piecemeal approach leads to discouragement with natural healing altogether. Men conclude that herbs don't work for them, that their problems are too advanced for natural solutions, or that they're simply destined to accept decline as inevitable. The hope and enthusiasm they initially felt gives way to resignation, often just when they were closest to discovering the comprehensive approach that could transform their experience entirely. The breakthrough lies in implementing a strategic combination protocol that addresses all pathways simultaneously. This means supporting microcirculation with ginkgo biloba, enhancing nitric oxide with ginseng and hawthorn, balancing hormones with tribulus, controlling inflammation with turmeric, protecting vessels with pine bark extract, energizing cells with rhodiola, and managing stress with ashwagandha, all working together in carefully timed doses that allow each herb to enhance the other's effectiveness. When men finally embrace this comprehensive approach, the transformation often surprises even me. The vitality, confidence, and intimate connection they thought were permanently lost begin returning not gradually, but dramatically, as their bodies finally receive the complete support they need to restore masculine health at every level. You're not just treating symptoms, you're rebuilding the foundation of masculine vitality itself, creating lasting change that grows stronger over time rather than fading away.